Coming at you from Tokyo, Japan with a little bit of a funny one today. This video sits in the grey area between what I usually do, what I know so well, and what I'm really confident at, and the stuff that I'm a bit sort of like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm just going to do my best with it. And right in the middle of that comes this shoe, because LeBron 18's done a few of them. We'll chuck a couple of them up behind me here so you can see a few of those LeBron 18's that we've done in the last 6 months or so, but I've never done it for this, a kids specific shoe. So it's right in that kind of grey area. There's stuff on this shoe that I've never looked at before, don't know much about, had to research to bring it to you guys today. Then there's other stuff that's just classic LeBron 18 that I can bring to you from a position of knowledge and facts. So that's what's going on with me and this shoe, and hopefully it'll work out as I bring you a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike Lebron 18 Kids Alternate Neon. This is the Tokyo by the 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo by the 23 Sneaker Channel Day. It's my niche episode all day. My niche media design every single day from Tokyo, Japan. I bring content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And we're probably somewhere around about 850 days into consecutive content for YouTube. That's more than 2 years without a single day missed. And it's always about upcoming releases. These guys, March the 20th. Now, this video is probably going to be going up onto my channel, maybe March 10th. So it's 10 days before the drop, which is exactly where I like to be able to bring you guys information pre-drop, point out the major parts of the shoe, and somewhere along the line this channel will get big enough that one of the stores here in Tokyo will take note, we'll get a tie-up, and we'll start getting shoes in hand. So that's the dream for the channel. But for right now, what we're doing is focusing on this shoe right here. 10 days time, Nike Lebron 18 for kids. And like I said, it's coming out of left field for me. There's tons in this shoe that is structured around the regular LeBron 18s, but then there's a couple of hits on there that are particularly unique to this shoe. And one of them is that stripe down the side. And it was that stripe that got me interested. Now, you've got to think about it from my perspective. I'm trying to work out which shoe to bring to you guys every single day. And there are literally hundreds of shoes to choose from, dozens of brands, and in the case of these guys, I'm scrolling through social media and the internet and stuff like that, looking for a shoe. It's like, ooh, look at that LeBron 18 with this whole new stripe up the side. That's very cool. That's a step in a new direction for the LeBron line. What's going on there? And then I look into it and it's a kid's shoe, and I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not really for adults. And I can't claim to know. I'm pretty sure, I'm just not going to put it down there as too concrete a marker. I can't claim to know for 100% sure, but 99% sure that stripe on the side will never appear on the adult full-size version of the LeBron 18s. So here we are, we're drawn into this shoe by that. And that was the first thing that brought me in here. And then it was those alternating neon colors between orange. And I'm going with, I'm going to say yellow. I'm going to say yellow. It's more in the volt line than in the green line, but it's right on the cusp between the two. And if you have a different perspective on that, feel free. I like it when people disagree with me. So it was those alternating colors that really got me into the shoe after I realized it was actually mostly for kids. And speaking of those alternating colors, let's get into this and talk about the details on the shoe that actually makes it a very, very cool shoe. So bit by bit, we'll go through it and I'll look at some of the things that are similar to those full-size 18 runs and some that are not. So we'll start with my favorite part in the shoe. I talked about this a couple of days ago in the video that I did about the LeBron 18 home colors, a beautiful white version of the LeBron 18s. And we focus in on this bit on this shoe I'm looking at right now, around about the midsole area, and there's a stripe that runs along there, and it's often colored two different colors, usually white at the front, black at the back, purple at the front, yellow at the back, for example. But in the case of these guys, I've never seen this before. Might be specific to the kids versions, or it might be just specific to this colorway, and it's a design choice. But having black on black for that stripe that runs horizontally through the midsole on these guys, first time I've seen it, and it's very unique to the shoe. And speaking of unique to the shoe, if we go to the back portion of that line, so the line that's kind of around about the midfoot, and then there's the split between the front half and the back half of the shoe, and then on the back part of the shoe you've got that second line. Usually on the big boys shoes that says from the city of Akron in there, where LeBron James is from. But on these guys, I'm not seeing it. I don't think it's in there at all. There is some kind of textured feel to that line, but not the writing that you'd normally see on the big boy LeBrons. And then we come forward from that, we'll get to the front of the shoe, and this is one place, it might be the only place in the shoe where I was kind of like, ooh, could have been a little bit better. The whole shoe is beautiful. It's a great shoe. Kind of jealous of the kids out there who are going to be able to get their hands on these guys. But there's one little thing was on the front, and that was the swoosh on the front of these guys. We pay a lot of attention to that swoosh when we're looking at LeBron 18s because it's one of those places that they change. They either go with a consistent thing with the colorway, match it up with the medial swoosh, that kind of thing. And the thing that I wish they'd gone for on these is switching the colors out. So the shoe that has the orange outsole having the green swoosh up there on top of the toe box, and then the same on the green outsole having the orange swoosh. That's the one little detail on these guys that I wish they changed up. But speaking of swooshes, and something that I'm glad they didn't change up is on the medial side. If we look at the biggest swoosh, which is round about the heel section on the medial side, black on black. Very risky in a way because usually there's a pop of colour on there, something to do with the colourway of the shoe. But in the case of these guys, they've gone with black on black. But it works, and the reason it works is because some of the elements of that swoosh are in a matte sort of dull finish and some are in a glossy bright finish, and it's that textured feel that you get with the swoosh on the medial side of LeBron 18s that makes this work in black on black. Otherwise it would be a question, why didn't they go with the neon colors on this swoosh? But because of that two-tone effect, I say yes, it works very well for me. And speaking of that two-tone effect, let's go down to the toe box and look at the upper materials on there and be surprised but not disappointed by the fact that it is solid black. LeBron 18 large size, full size, men's size, whatever you want to call it, often have a second layer of color below the outer layer of color. For example, the Dunk Man that had a black outer layer, and within it it had some detail in green, but you can see on these guys it's all black on there. But it works for this shoe because the colors elsewhere do sort of dominate the shoe, and even more colour in the toe area and on that upper there. I don't think it would have worked out, so it's a yes for me. And then we go back from that and we have a look at the lacing system on these guys. And one of the major differences, I think it's probably two of the major differences, but I'm sure it's one, is that the tongue section on the full size run has 3 air units run up like in that oblong sort of effect there, but you can see on these guys there's just 2 air units on there. They're very similar in construction to the full size run, but just there's 2 of them instead of being 3 of them. But what there is on these guys in place of that 3rd air unit on the tongues is a very large circular branding panel at the top of the tongues, which you don't normally see on the full size run. And in there you've got the one nod to the sort of younger generation and that tiny sort of character, that animation effect within that circle of branding at the top of the tongues there. And it's the only sort of nod to youth on this shoe, whereas everything else is kind of consistent with the larger full size run. And then going around to the back of these guys, we'll have a look at the branding on the back because it's a big feature of the shoes. Again, that mismatched color, the alternate neons with the orange on one and the green on the other. And it's a real pop there. But one of the main sort of questions I had, I think this is to do with color and not technology, is the translucence of these parts of the shoes. It feels like to me that the green, the yellow side, whichever one that is, has a real more translucent feel to it than the orange, but I think that's to do with the color and not the materials. And it's the same on the outsole. If we flip them upside down and have a look at the outsole, it's just the yellow one that we can have a look at with that kind of translucent feel to it, and then running right through the middle of it, that horizontal line that you see in all LeBron 18s with the sort of diamonds that run through the middle there, showing you a different color and giving you that contrast to the rest of the shoe. So but that translucent feel very much more present in the yellow than it is in the orange. And then back out looking at the whole shoe, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about in the shoe. I'm trying to make sure I did, and hopefully you guys appreciate that. So like I say, it's in a grey area. I've done plenty of LeBron 18s, happy to do that and talk very quickly and very knowledgeable about that. Sometimes I do a shoe like yesterday's shoe was the Asics Backstreets of Tokyo. Didn't know anything about that shoe and had to research it, but between those two come this shoe that I know a little bit about because of the Big Brother LeBron 18 full size run, but don't know much about this, the 4 kids variant on that. But happy to bring that to you. Hopefully you agree with everything I've talked about, and you're equally impressed with what a great turn of in this shoe this is, especially that stripe up the side, which is totally unique to these LeBron 18 4 kids alternate neon colorway. So so let's look at today's shoe. Hopefully you appreciate it. Coming out March 20th in 10 days time, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another shoe. Can't remember what's on the docket. I've got a few lined up already to come to you guys in the next few days, so that's something to stick around for and stay tuned for. And all that's left for me to do is a thing that I do at the end of every single video, which is just remind you guys that I do this every single day, like every day, even on the weekends, 7 days a week. And that's you know, it means for you that at least you know for sure that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.